everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Samantha Richens. I am a graphic designer here at ZYTO, and I'll be hosting today. So we are really excited. We've got Margaret with us, and she's going to teach us how to breathe easy. Now, before we get started, I just want to go over a couple of ZYTO things. So first, I'd like to remind everyone about our ZYTO regional events. So our next event is going to be Saturday, December 7th, and that's going to be in Las Vegas. Now, these events are a great way to get one-on-one questions answered, to come and meet with other wellness professionals, and to come out and see us. So make sure that you go to zyto.com/events to register. The registration is free, but the space is limited. So make sure you register and come out and join us. Next, I'd like to remind everyone to join us in our 2019 Wellness Challenge. Now today at the end of the webinar, we are going to be giving away a Patagonia bag, so make sure you stick around to see who wins. If you want to enter, it's really easy. All you need to do is just take a picture of you outside doing some kind of outdoor activity. Maybe you're like us here in Utah and you've got great fall leaves going on, so go take a hike, go get out into the fall air, or if you're somewhere warmer like Margaret, go swimming or biking. Make sure you post that picture to Instagram or Facebook, use the hashtag ZYTO Wellness Challenge, and email it to us at marketing@zyto.com, and that will automatically enter you. And next, we just like to go over the purpose of these wellness webinars. Now, we love putting these on for you guys. We feel that they provide useful wellness information. We like to bring in a variety of professionals to give their professional opinions on wellness and health and how they're using ZYTO to better their programs and things like that. And we like to create opportunities for the ZYTO community to connect with each other. So if you have any questions, if you have any feedback for us, go ahead and email us, marketing@zyto.com. We would love to hear from you. And next, we will be doing a giveaway today. So Margaret has recommended a book. It is called The Untethered Soul, The Journey Beyond Yourself, and that is by Michael A. Singer. So one of our live attendees today at the end of the webinar is going to be getting that book. So make sure you stick around to the very end because you might win. And now I would like to introduce Margaret Norman. So she is the owner of the Yoga Loft. She's a certified yoga and fitness professional. She's also a diabetes prevention counselor, and she is a wellness advocate, and we are really excited to have her with us today. So without further ado, I'm going to turn the time over to Margaret. So Margaret, how's it going?
Hi, Sammy. It's going great. Thank you so much for having me here today to discuss the topic of mindful breathing. And first, I'd like to say I'm really appreciative of ZYTO, not only for the hardware and the software and the tools that you all give us to share with others and really improve their quality of life, but also that you connect us, the users of the providers of the service, you connect us as a community so that we can get together and we can learn and we can share. So I really appreciate that. So these monthly webinars are great, and yeah, I'm just looking forward to teaching everybody a little more about breathing. We're going to start today. I'll just tell you a little more about myself. As Sammy mentioned, my name is Margaret Norman, and I'm a yoga studio owner, also a certified fitness professional, diabetes prevention counselor, and wellness advocate just outside of Atlanta, Georgia. So yeah, I've been doing this for almost 2 decades, working with people, trying to help them get a little healthier, a little happier in their life. And it's really, yoga is my passion. So it's been with me through all of life's ups and downs. And through yoga, I've experienced firsthand the healing benefits of mindful breath and movement. So it's my desire to help others create a purposeful life filled with joy and peace. So yeah, we'll just move into our next slide, and we'll talk about breathing and just what a great gift it is. In the beginning, there was breath, and I think we all just sort of take it for granted. And Sammy, I know you're a student of yoga. And so this is going to be fun and interesting for both of us, and hopefully our viewers as well. So whether they participate in a yoga class or not, they're breathing, so they've got what they need. So before we get started, I wonder if Sammy has a couple things to help her with her breathing. Did you bring your yoga mat today, Sammy?
It's down in my car, three flights
okay.
down.
Well,
I could run down the stairs.
Yeah, because we want this breathing to go perfect. Do you have, what else? Do you have your yoga blanket with you?
No.
Uh-oh. Okay. Well, let's see. You have your essential oils for breathing?
No.
Uh-oh. Okay. What about your eye mask? You got that for sure, right? You brought that to work today.
No, I didn't bring that with me to work.
Okay. Well, you got your mala, right? You got your mala beads.
If I don't have any of those things, can I still participate?
Yes, of course, you can still participate. So for me, I'm in my studio, right? I've got my cup of chamomile tea, and that's the good news. You don't need anything. So all those things are great, like add-ons. They're great things to have, but you don't have to have them. So, so yeah, before we get into the research and the studies, let's all just take a moment to breathe together. How does that sound?
That sounds great.
Sounds good? Okay. So as I mentioned, I'm coming to you today from inside my studio. Well, it's my office inside my studio, but let's pretend for a moment that we are in the studio. All right. So I'll just walk you through kind of how I get everyone settled in on their mat and start that mindful breathing process. All right. So here we go. Let's go ahead and just find that comfortable seat. Let's sit up really tall and let's just circle through our shoulders. Just bring them up, around, back, and down. Okay, so now we've got that good alignment. We've opened through that chest, so we're able to take that good deep breath. And from there, we're just going to go a little deeper into the breathing. So let's all just close our eyes. We're going to be inhaling through the nose and exhaling through the nose. And we'll just do a couple more rounds just like that. And anytime you want to, you could add another circle through the shoulders. Of course, yoga, we're linking breath and movement. You could bring your chin down to your chest. Maybe just stretch that right ear over towards the right shoulder. Bring it back chin to chest. And then maybe that left ear towards the left shoulder. How was that? That was a good little stretch and breath break, right? So yeah. We'll definitely go through a lot of different techniques. If you have a Fitbit, anybody watching has a Fitbit or smartwatch, you can even kind of play along and join us as you watch that heart rate drop as we work a little deeper into the breathing. So, so yeah, we're going to talk about that. So the next slide, it keeps popping back. There we go. We're going to talk about the actual, the act of breathing. So on the screen, you'll see a quick overview of the biomechanics of breathing. It talks about the way our bodies bring in oxygen and remove carbon dioxide. And you've probably heard about diaphragmatic breathing. That's something that singers do in order to improve the vocal quality of their performances. But today we're going to talk about breathing techniques that everyone can do to improve the quality of their life. All right, so my goals for you today in this time together is to learn why and how. So why it's important for you to take some time to breathe, and then how to breathe. So I want you to leave here with a little toolkit of things you can do if you're in a stressful situation, just to move forward in a happier way. So why? Let's get into the whys. Well, as a yoga teacher, and a fitness professional, obviously I'm into movement, right? But the breath and the movement are linked through yoga. And so there's so much amazing research that's coming out now, kind of confirming things we can all feel. It's talking about like the amygdala, and basically what that is, it's an almond-shaped area of the brain. You can see there on the screen. And it's also known as the fear center of our brain. So yeah, we're just going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to talk about that fight or flight sort of situation that, you know, we've all found ourselves in. So you seem like a pretty calm gal, Sammy. So are you familiar with the whole fight or flight? You kind of know how that works?
Yeah, I'm familiar.
Yeah, so it's really not a fun thing.
Calm on the outside.
Well, yeah, it's really not a fun thing, right? So let's just take a moment to just kind of envision ourselves there, kind of get empathetic into that situation. So we could be late for a meeting outside the office, and we decide, oh, I'm going to take one more phone call, And then, you know, maybe something happens when we get out there on the road. We're on a 2-lane road, we get stuck behind a car that's broken down, or, you know, who knows, maybe there's a train coming across the tracks and we have to stop, and we weren't counting on that. So what's going to happen now? Well, a couple of different things, right? So that fear center in our brain is going to be activated. We're going to have a rush of cortisol. We're going to have a rush of adrenaline. We're going to have that increased heart rate, that rapid breathing, might be sweating. We're going to have our blood pressure go up. And so since we can't like beam ourselves up directly out of that situation, what can we do to kind of counter that attack on our nervous system? And so one thing we like to do in yoga is kind of turn everything into sort of a gratitude mental shift there. So that's the first thing I would suggest doing, just being really thankful for that process, right? The things that are happening in your body is a stress response. And so that's what's going to save your life in an emergency, okay? So for some of us, this could be easily triggered. But at the same time, we can kind of learn how to calm that. And so deep breathing is one of the best ways to do that. So that's the really good news here, that we can send those messages to our brain to calm down. And yeah, and then this is what we can do. So we can just work with our body, work with our breath. And so aside from those times where we have that sudden rush of adrenaline, cortisol, we need to think about kind of the way our lives are today. They're very hectic. We're always on. We're always wired. So even to a lesser degree, we are always like filling up that bucket of adrenaline and cortisone in our body. So that is why I think it's really important that we all practice some mindful breathing. Doesn't that sound good? Like a plan?
Oh yeah, that sounds great.
So,
I was actually running late to this morning, so
so
I had
there
a
you
little
go.
bit of that, yeah, that flight or fight. Yeah.
There you go. So another thing to think about here is patience. So patience, we say it's a virtue, right? So it takes about 2 minutes of that mindful breath to fully switch over from that sympathetic nervous response to the parasympathetic nervous response, which is your calming side. Okay, so definitely don't just think, well, you know, I've tried this calming breath, like it didn't work. Unless you gave it about 2 minutes and you really were able to just kind of get out of that situation, close your eyes, be with your breath, then you didn't give it enough time, right? So give yourself time, be patient, and again, just kind of switching over to gratitude is always good. And I really recommend that we all be a little proactive, because the more we can keep the good hormones in our body and decrease the stress, then the better off we're all going to be. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah.
Awesome. So I think another place we can do our breathing to make sure we're kind of in that flat level state would be also before a ZYTO scan. And so we'll talk about that. I have a specific breathing technique that we can use, and as practitioners we can have our clients use before a ZYTO scan. So I think that'd be really good. So yeah, we'll just talk about pranayama. So pranayama is a Sanskrit term, and it means life force and control. So in yoga, we want to be able to control our breath. So this has been going on since the beginning of yoga, that practitioners and yoga instructors have been fascinated with learning how to control their breath so that they can help their students feel better. All right, and so here we have a couple different physical benefits of deep, relaxed breath. You guys can read through the screen. I don't have to like read every bullet point here, but which of these look really best to you, Sammy? Like if you could just choose one, like which would be your favorite?
I would say the intense exercise. So I'm a runner, endurance athlete.
Mm-hmm.
So I find that if I'm not breathing like well, I get side stitches, or like I get tired faster. And
Yeah.
like you just don't really think about breathing when you're out running, but it's so important when you're running or cycling. So
absolutely, yes,
yeah.
Being able to control that breath, right? So that's important. So yeah, absolutely, it slows your rate of breathing. It's going to improve that respiratory function and just overall just make you feel better, right? And then speaking of feeling better, so we talked a bit about the major benefits, but we need to think about that mind-body connection and that mind-body connection to our breath. So psychological benefits of the controlled deep breath, we already know what happens like in our day-to-day society. Like we talked about, stress is a killer, it's rampant, we're all running around constantly in a rush. So we know that. And then the important thing is thinking about it's coming back to your immune system. So if your immune system is in fight or flight, it's ready to fight. So it's ready to fight off anything that it perceives as a threat, which even could be your own, stress. So we don't want to keep that immune system at that really like high constant level. We want it to be able to come into play when we really need it. So again, even though it's a psychological benefit, it's still coming back to the physical benefit too, coming back to your immune system. So yeah, over time, of course, we know, as I talked about, it all just adds up, and it's just not a recipe for a really healthy life. And then the next thing I want to talk about are spiritual benefits of deep, relaxed breathing. Be still and know. So that is one of my favorite verses. Being still and taking that time out of your day to breathe, it's going to allow you time just to connect with your core spirit, something that's greater than yourself, but that's also within yourself. So this can be a really spiritual practice. You can move beyond your current circumstances, whatever that is, to just get a fresh, healthy perspective. And I know I see that with my students. They'll come in and they'll bring in, whatever baggage they have of the day, and you can see it in their face. They're just, they're not exactly in their happy place until they come in to their happy place and they get on their mat, and then you just see it. Like by the end of class, they're smiling, they're calm, they're happy, and they usually forget whatever that situation was that was going on, and it just puts it in a proper perspective. So that is absolutely one of my favorite parts about just being able to work with people on their breath. It's just to kind of unlock their true spirit, just to kind of let that soar. So I love that. And I promise people, if they'll just take like 5 minutes to breathe and reflect, they'll know, like they'll be able to connect to their purpose and just live a more carefree and purposeful life. So anyway, that's just what I love. I love that about what I do every day. And so then I wanted to talk a little bit about mindful breathing and the way we can use that to release. So we can release negative emotions. So just the same as we do when we exhale and we release the old oxygen and the carbon dioxide out of our lungs, we're going to create space for that new, fresh oxygen. So it's the same thing with our emotions. So when we breathe and we exhale and we're calm, we can release all those negative emotions and we can make space for new positive emotions, right? Healing. So think of it as just another way, another little healing tool that we have. I think we should have a poll question.
Yeah. So we've got a poll question for all of you out there. So it is, which area of your health would you like to improve the most? So we have rest, digestion, relaxation, or regeneration. So we'll give everyone just a couple seconds to go ahead and answer that. Maybe just a little bit longer. We're going to close that poll question in just a second. All right, so it looks like we've got our results. So the majority, looks like 50% voted regeneration. Next was digestion, then relaxation, and rest was at the very bottom.
Interesting. Oh, and I love those responses, and I love the regeneration because I think that shows that we're talking to a wellness community and we know how important that is. So all these other things are important, but giving ourselves time to regenerate, it's almost the same thing as that good deep sleep that we need every night, right? So with our breath, we can actually get in that same state, just that very calm state, so that our body can restore itself back to balance. So I love that. So all of those things obviously are great. They're beneficial. But yeah, I think that just speaks a lot to our community of who's with us today and what is their priority, because we know that, in order to, again, have all these good body functions and mental state, we need to be able to regenerate and relax. So awesome. I love that. All right, so the next thing we're going to talk about is the mindful breathing, the benefits of mindful breathing. We know it can regulate our emotions. We know it can increase resilience when we're coping with stress or anxiety, anger, depression. It can decrease that stress response. It's helped people manage panic attacks. Like if they know that's coming on, they have little tools in their toolkit and they can certainly use that. And as we talked about, improving your sleep cycle, your quality of sleep, just helping you fall asleep. So there's another breathing technique that we'll get into a little bit later in the presentation, and that is going to cover some good things you can do before sleep, just to kind of help you fall asleep. And also if you wake up in the night, sometimes that happens. We'll wake up in the night, we have like all those thoughts just start coming, right? They start coming through our mind like, oh, I need to do this, I need to do that. And some people say keep a notepad by the bed, right, and start writing those things down. But I think it's really good just to try to get beyond that. And I'll talk about another little breathing technique we can use for when we wake up in the night too, to help us go back to sleep. So talking about breathing and talking about being able to regenerate. So the different types of breath is almost as similar as going to a different type of yoga class. So you know there's restorative or a yin class. Have you ever attended one of those?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so you're like you said, you like to run. You're probably more into the fast-paced kind of classes, which is great. But think about maybe if you've gone on a long trip and a long flight, and you're just kind of like, you're at that low point. You're like, wow, I just need to unwind, but you're not quite there yet. A yin class would be really good. A restorative, we breathe a lot slower. We keep the lights a little lower. It's just a little more calming. So that kind of class is going to regenerate. It's going to help you restore balance. And then the other type of yoga would be just a fast-paced class. It's going to energize you. And so we use different breathing techniques in those different classes. And so that's what's so magical about the breath. So we can either, calm ourselves with our breath or energize with our breath. But either way, we're going to be restoring balance to our body. So that's what I love. And yeah, just a quick little word of caution. So if someone has never worked with any breathing techniques, first of all, there are probably literally thousands of breathing techniques. So the ones I chose today specifically are geared to everyone. They're things you can do without needing your props, right? Without needing anything. You can do them wherever you are. You can do them right where you're seated, which we'll do a little bit later. But yeah, if someone is new to this and they're just like on the internet and they're just looking up different types of breath, they just need to be a little cautious. There's some different types of breathing that, can just put people in a little bit different state mentally. So yeah, I would just tell everybody kind of do your research, stick to maybe what you're learning here, see how you feel, and then kind of play around with, as you get a little more comfortable with it, some different types of breathing. So yeah, just a little precaution there before we get started. So yeah, I want everybody to have, like I said, little tools in their toolkit because you know what? Your breath is free. You already own it. So there's nothing more readily accessible. Like I said, you don't need all these props and things to do it. As we talked about, there's just hundreds, if not thousands, of different breathing techniques. And so yeah, we can just move on to the next slide. For some reason, it's not letting me click. Oh, there we go. Perfect. Okay, so let's get started. What I would like everybody to do, if you have your, like I said, your Fitbit, you can go ahead and grab that. You can place it on or take a look at it and just kind of notice your mood. Kind of notice how you feel. Do you feel distracted, bored? I hope not, right? Annoyed, scattered, overwhelmed. Just kind of make a mental note, really, of how you feel at this time. And then check that heart rate. So see where it's at, if it's in the 70s or 80s or wherever it might be. And then we're just going to, the best idea is just kind of close your eyes and get comfortable, like just what I tell my students when they come in. So whatever works best in your situation right now, you may be watching from your desktop computer or on your phone. If you're on your phone or your iPad, you could even just lay down, like lying down, sitting up. Either one's fine. But you want to think about, again, just kind of elongating that spine, just how we did that little shoulder circle. I can talk, right? So yeah. Shoulders and come back to that nice tall alignment. And then just like I talked about, the different hand variations. So You can either have your palms up, you can have them down, but I like incorporating some different hand placement into the breathing. I just think it helps you feel that connection. So you could have your hands in prayer, you could have one at the heart and one just below it. And to me, that's my favorite one because that's where I really feel that connection, and I'm able to kind of get into that spiritual state that I talked about. So yeah, we want to obviously eliminate distractions, closing the eyes. Obviously, if you're driving, not a good idea, right? Don't do that. But yeah, the next step is just going to be to listen for your breath. We want you to feel that connection that your mind has to the breath and just be aware of it. So, yeah, we'll just take another breath here. I want everybody just to find that hand placement. And again, I suggest one at the heart, one just below, and just take a breath. Inhaling through the nose and exhaling through the nose. And we'll just take one more breath just like that. Nice. Okay, so how do you feel after that?
Oh, much calmer.
And that was just like 2 breaths, right?
Yeah.
2 breaths. As I said, it takes about 2 minutes if you're in that stress state to really feel it. But yeah, just 2 breaths. We all have time, right, to do 2 breaths. So now we're going to go into a technique called belly breathing. Okay, so as we talked about, we're going to get that really good alignment. We're going to eliminate those distractions. We're going to place one hand on the belly. So it's just going to be a little lower. So we're going to have one at the heart and we're going to have one at the belly. And we want to take a really deep breath in through our nose and really let your belly just push your hand out. Okay, so just inhaling. So the belly's doing the work. And then on the exhale, we're going to just purse those lips together as if we're just blowing a whistle and feel that. Right, so just like that, you can add a little more pressure. We'll do another couple rounds of that. And again, eyes could be closed. You're going to be inhaling through the nose, big deep breath, and just letting your stomach just push that hand away. And your chest shouldn't move. We're really trying to isolate that belly breathing, kind of just like we talked about that diaphragmatic breathing with the singers. And so then working on that exhale and just try to exhale a little more completely every time. So this is a good one to use maybe before an exam or a stressful event, maybe before you go into a meeting or a presentation. That's a really good one. But again, you want to give yourself a couple minutes to do it, but even just 2 breaths, we already seen, can make a really big difference. And so the next technique that I really like, especially for people who do struggle with anxiety, which, you know, as we said, we all do from time to time, right? We have that fight or flight going, is called the 4-7-8 breath. Okay, so when we're going to use this, again, would be you feel that cascading rush of stress hormones just flooding your system, and you want to be able just to take control and get calm. All right, so again, we've got that alignment. We're going to sit really tall. We're going to close our eyes, and hands could be like simply like this, like in the diagram, or again, maybe go back to one hand at the heart, one at the belly. And we're just going to inhale through our nose for a steady count of 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we're going to hold that breath. So we're going to hold the breath for 7 seconds. And then we're going to let that flow into an exhale, also through the nose, for 8 seconds. Okay, so it's going to take a while. This is one talking about patience. It's going to take a while for your body to be able to hold for 7 seconds, and then especially to exhale for 8. Like inhaling through the nose for 4 is pretty easy. But yeah, it's just going to take a while to train your body to get into that holding for 7 and exhaling for 8. But it is so worth it. It's just a wonderful technique. So yeah, let's try that here. So I will again count it out. As I said, the first one was just kind of practice. So go ahead and just close your eyes, find that comfortable hand placement. We're going to be inhaling deeply for 4. Retain that breath, just hold the breath. Exhale it out for 8. Nice, and let's just do that again, one more round. So inhale for 4. Retain that breath as long as you can to 7. exhale slowly for 8. All right, so how far did you get? Were you get to the 7 and the 8 yet?
I was able to. Exhaling for
Awesome.
8 was a little bit hard, but I did it.
Yay, I'm so proud of you. That's
Yeah.
great. All right, so
much better.
I know, right? It's amazing.
Yeah.
It is. It's like truly the saying, right? A breath of fresh air. All right, so the next technique I want to talk about is equal breathing. And so this one might even be easier than what we just did because we can just start with a count of 3. So again, we're going to get in that comfortable seated position or lying down. We're going to eliminate those distractions. We're going to close our eyes. We're going to slowly inhale through our nose for the count of 3 and then exhale through 3. So we'll do that together and then we're going to work our way up to 4, 5, and 6. All right, this is a good one to use while you're just kind of sitting in traffic. As I talked about, this is a good one to use when you have trouble falling asleep. I mean, I know we've all heard of counting sheep, right? So this is better because this is like counting your breath. So you're doing 2 things at once. So it's really good. It's getting your mind off of whatever's on it and then onto your breath. And just that mindfulness connection is going to help you fall asleep. All right. So again, we're going to just find that comfortable hand placement. Maybe this time we want to put those hands in prayer. And we're going to inhale for 1, 2, 3, and then just even exhale. 1, 2, 3. And then we're going to do another round. We're going to go to 4. So again, just comfortable, seated tall, inhaling through the nose for 1, 2, 3, 4, and exhaling for 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, let's do another round. Let's go to 5. Inhaling for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and exhaling. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, so we can do that all the way up to 6. And then we can even reverse the patterns. We can go back to the breath. We can start with 6, 5, 4. And if you get stuck at like 5 and you find it hard to breathe all the way through to 6, just go back to 5 again. Just go back to 5, 4, and work your way back. So again, the keys here are just be really patient with your breath, with your body, and just trust it. It's going to get there, right? We know what to do. We'll get there. All right, so the last technique we're going to talk about is ocean breath. So first of all, just think about the name. How relaxing does that sound?
Oh, that sounds wonderful.
That sounds
like
good, right? I know, right? A nice little vacation for all of us. So Ujjayi pranayama, or ocean breath, is the one you think of more typically with yoga. So we use that to support the yoga practice and the yoga postures. So especially in vinyasa yoga, which is probably what you're a little more accustomed to. Sounds like Sammy, a little faster paced class. And so this is very similar. It just kind of piggybacks off of the equal breathing that we did, because we're still breathing equally, that equal breath count. But what we're doing different here that is giving it that ocean name is making the sound of the ocean. So it's just something we're doing like within our throat to kind of constrict the breath, kind of just slow down the pace of that breath. So if you think about maybe just kind of pressing your tongue on the roof of your mouth and trying to kind of constrict your throat. I know it may sound strange if you've never done it, but it is so wonderful. So we'll just have a little practice doing that. So again, just find that comfortable seat, come back to that really comfortable hand posture, maybe one at the heart, one at the belly, maybe both palms up, maybe in prayer. And we're going to be inhaling through the nose. And on that exhale, you want to make that little sound like a little rushing sound. Again, it's hard to do with my mouth open. I should close my mouth. But inhaling through the nose. There, just like that. Yeah, I had to get that right sound just right for you guys so you understand. But that's the sound, almost like you're fogging up a mirror with your breath. That's the sound that we want to be looking for. That's kind of the key to that. All right, and then before we get into this next thing, I want to talk about this. So I was able to go to the beach, speaking of the ocean, I was able to go to the beach this past weekend, and I got to do a little snorkeling. And so I probably haven't snorkeled in maybe like 10 years. And in 10 years, like I said, I've done a lot with the breath. I've done a lot with yoga. And so I was out there, putting on the mask, and, I didn't have the full face mask, so I just had the eyes and the nose, and then, the snorkel tube. And so what's the first thing you have to do once you go under? Like, you have to breathe through your mouth, right? So to me, that felt a lot like a panic breath, even though I wasn't panicked. I was probably in about four feet of water, and I'm a swimmer. So, but it was just having to switch over. And to me, being able to like breathe through my nose is like my calming breath I use all the time. And then to have to switch over and also then be breathing through my mouth, it felt like a little panicky. So I had to kind of work my way back through. So I just wanted to give that a little side note. So, no matter what it is, we can always learn a different breathing technique. I had to find a different breathing technique there so I could enjoy snorkeling.
Yeah.
But yeah, so now I want to talk about things we can add. So we've got that breathing toolkit. We've got like our 4 different breathing techniques. How about we add some things? So I know I asked you in the beginning if you had any essential oils, and I'm sure you have them, floating around there somewhere. I have a feeling.
Yeah.
But yeah, so in the studio, we use essential oils here. We use like doTERRA oils because I think they're pure. You can use whatever you like. But we have different blends. So we have one for breathing. My students love lavender. They also really like peppermint. So peppermint is great if anybody has a headache, a migraine, or anything like that. Peppermint's really good. So I'll use this usually in like a rollerball form, but all the oils. So we use the oils literally every day here. And I'll walk around. This one's called Peace. I'll just kind of walk around to my students when I'm greeting them and they're settling in on their mat. I'll just have them choose the oil just by smell. Sometimes I don't even tell them the name. I just want them to be surprised. I tell them after they've chosen. And they'll just rub it there on their wrist, and they'll just bring it towards their face and just take a really good breath. And again, I think that really enhances the power of your breath. It really adds to that experience. So we definitely use a lot of oils here. You can diffuse them. You can spray them in the air, just whatever works. We also have some lavender eye masks that we use here in those restorative classes that are great. So yeah, these are just a few. So what else do I have? I have some rosemary. I have some eucalyptus. This one's great if you have a cold or anything like that. Sinus issues, that one's awesome. Peppermint's good for allergies. And then I want to show you really quickly, there's a yoga kit. So I love that they've created oils just for us to do in yoga. There's one called Arise. It's got that orange label, so it's got some citrus in there. There's one called Anchor. So Anchor has the lavender, so it's really going to be calming to us. And then Align is one that's going to really help ground and balance us. So just in general, things to think about. If it's from a tree or a root, it's going to be grounding. If it's from a flower, it's going to be uplifting. So that's kind of a way that you guys can think about which type of oils might be really good to use at any given time. And then, of course, we can do some meditation, right? So have you ever done a meditation?
I have a couple years ago. I haven't done it recently, but yeah, I think it would be great to try.
Yeah, so I have all different kinds of meditations that I'll use with my students. If we have time at the end, we can do one that's just like you're literally imagining you're walking through a forest. So meditation is a really good tool, again, just to be able to get yourself out of that current situation, change your focus. And what I like to do, we can add scripture in our meditation. We can add a prayer in that meditation time, an affirmation. It's just really a time, as I said, just to focus on positive thoughts, kind of getting rid of those negative thoughts. And it's just a really powerful tool. So I love that combination: yoga, meditation, breathing, and essential oils. It's really awesome. So as I talked about, I love the forest meditation. And then one other little meditation I wanted to focus in on for a moment is called Yoga Nidra. So Yoga Nidra is really just, it's just a head to toe script that your instructor would read to you. It's not usually during a regular class because it takes about 30 minutes to go through the script and about 30 minutes of that relaxation time. But that is an awesome one. And you can just do a little modified version where you would just like, think about your toe and just work literally toe to head or head to toe, just working through the body and just calming, right? Just coming down to getting nice and calm. And so now I think we have another poll question. Awesome. This is talking about the time, most convenient time for people to practice their breathing techniques.
Yeah, so it says, when is the most convenient time for you personally to practice breathing techniques? So we have after waking up, before or after meals, another time during the day, or before going to sleep. So we'll give everyone just a couple seconds to answer that.
It'd be hard for me to choose. I think they're all great.
Yeah. And we're just waiting for the results to come up. So let's give the computer another second or two. There we go. All right, so it looks like 51% said before going to sleep. The next biggest answer was after waking up, and then another time during the day, and finally before or after meals.
Oh, awesome. Yay. Yeah, I think all those are good. So talking about that rest and that digest and that regeneration, so all of these come into play, right? So before your meal is a really good time. I think that's a really good time just to send those calming signals to your body, obviously, to help you digest. So for me, when I'm not in the studio, when I'm home, I have like a little favorite place I like to sit in my dining room, and I have just plants out there and a hummingbird feeder right now that's kind of going crazy with activity, and a nice little bird bath, just things that I can do to just sort of get out of that current situation, come back to my breath. And I like to just do that. I like to just have a little time of peace and quiet before I enjoy my meal. So I recommend that for everybody. I think it's a great idea just to have a specific time and place to do it. And of course, we do think about that before going to sleep. Like that's key, right? So that we can kind of calm down. A lot of us we're wired. We're like looking at those blue screens, right? Right up until the time we turn out the light. So if we can just kind of shut that off a little earlier and work on some meditation and some breathing, I think that's really going to help everybody improve their quality of sleep. But the best time to do any breathing activities is the time that you're going to do it. So whatever works for you, that's the best time, and I'm all for it.
Yeah.
Yep. So then I wanted to talk a little bit about tips to just create the lasting habit. So as we talked about, carving out those little special times in your day, even if it's just 2 breaths, right, or 2 minutes, to do that breathing once or twice a day, keeping it at the same time. And if you have 10 or 20 minutes, even better, right? You can also do it, of course, in a yoga class. You can know that like every Wednesday night you're going to go to a yoga class, every Friday morning. That's a good way to create that lasting habit too. So love that. But yeah, you can practice it again 5 to 10 minutes anywhere, like on your way to work, in traffic, at a stoplight, or whatever. Hopefully you're not there for 5 or 10 minutes, but you get the idea, right?
Yeah.
And then the other thing I would really recommend is to keep learning. So as I talked about earlier, there's so many different breathing techniques. Just kind of have fun with it, have that learner's mindset, and just don't be afraid to try a new technique, but just do your research too. So anything, you know, different than what we did here, it's going to be a little more complicated. There's YouTube videos out there, right? So you can watch what people are doing, you can listen to what they're saying, you can do the research. One that's really popular in yoga that I didn't do with you guys, it's a little more, it's not really involved, but it's just like the alternate nostril breathing, where you're here, you exhale, you inhale, and you just kind of take turns like thumb and forefinger. That's another one that's very common in yoga, but that's not always one you can do, like maybe you don't feel comfortable sitting in traffic or at your desk, right? So that's why I tried to give you things that you could do, like I said, while we're here, right? So
Yeah.
in your office, you can do that, and you can get away with it. People aren't going to be like, what is Sammy doing?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Oh, well, yeah, thank you so much for presenting for us today. We have a couple of questions, and I actually have a question too. When you were mentioning earlier about there's different yoga style, one's more like energetic and one's more calming.
Mm-hmm.
Do do you think you could maybe just like expound on that just a little bit more? I didn't know there was a difference between, you know, like a calming breath and like an energetic breath. So kind of what makes it energetic, or what makes it more calming?
Yeah, so absolutely. So there's breath work workshops that we'll hold here at the studio, and we'll do them maybe once every 6 months or so. And so that's just going to be a faster breath. We're going to like speed it up. We're going to do a more forceful exhale. And again, that's just to kind of get to a different level as far as like your fitness level, what you're doing, and we're going to use that type of breathing to kind of match the work that we're doing in class. And then obviously a restorative class, we're going to be just mostly lying down. We're going to be in very comfortable positions. We're going to be stretching. And for that, we're just going to use more of that equal breathing or that pranayama. We're going to use that ocean breath, that ujjayi breathing. So yeah, there's so many different breathing techniques. And usually in every class that I teach, we're going to work on about 2 or 3 just to kind of change it up for people so that they can have a comfortable environment in which to practice.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
So it looks like another question is just more on the when you're, so they're asking, does it make a difference when you're breathing in through the nose and exhaling through the nose, or is it okay to breathe in through the nose, exhale through the mouth? Is there a difference between those 2 different breathings? Will it affect you differently, I guess?
Yeah, absolutely. So kind of like I talked about with that snorkeling experience, right? Doing that inhaling and exhaling through my mouth. I had to really like tell myself like, this is okay. It's okay to breathe a little differently than you're used to. Because think about that, like if you're suddenly kind of like startled, what's the first thing you're going to do is you're going to gasp, right? You're going to take that big inhale through your mouth. So again, that's just going to activate a little bit different area in your brain. So yeah, most of the breathing that we're going to do in yoga is going to be in through the nose and out through the nose. If you're doing like lifting weights or, you know, running or something like that, then it's going to be a little bit different. But yeah, by and large for yoga, we're using the nose. We're just doing that.
Okay. And I think we've got time for one more question, or I might have lost it. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Yeah, but if I'm trying to find it, if any of you out there, if you have more questions for Margaret, her contact information is right there on the screen. You can go to Margaret at yogaloft.fitness or visit her website. It's yogaloft.fitness. And I'm so sorry about that. We will make sure we get that question to you. So.
Yeah, I would love to be able to answer any questions that people have. I have meditation links I can send them, information on the oils, anything they need for additional resources.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Oh, wait, I've got it. So the question, it's just a really simple one. They're just asking, do you have like a recommendation for like how many times a day to maybe do like this calming breathing, or does it just depend on your day?
Well, I mean, I think it's a great way to start your day. Some of us, we may start our day and we immediately like reach for the phone, right? Oh, what have I missed while I slept? So you didn't miss anything. You're okay, right? You can take about 30 seconds to a couple minutes just to kind of breathe and start your day in that calming way. So yeah, I mean, it can't be too much. I mean, it's just like I said, you could do it when you wake up, you could do it before meals, after meals, in yoga, obviously in the class. And then one thing I noticed when I was a student of yoga, it was pretty interesting before I became a teacher. I noticed I would feel calmer from the time I left my house. I'd feel a certain way, and just even in the car, like the closer I got to the studio, I would feel more calm. And so I really would be like, wow, this is like weird. Like even knowing that I'm going to yoga, I'm already feeling calm. And so I think it's the same way. Like you can kind of look forward to that time and anticipate that time when you can really breathe and you can relax. So if you've got that in your day, it's just going to be, like an automatic response.
So there's no like over breathing that you can do during your day.
Nope,
like
nope.
It's just,
as long as you're doing that
as
calming
much as
breath.
Need it.
Exactly. You're not feeling lightheaded or dizzy, then you're doing it perfect. Yeah. So, and you'll know, like even those couple minutes we did in the very beginning, or this couple breaths that we took, you know, even just that, we felt calmer. So yeah, it's just wonderful. It's a wonderful gift that we have.
Yeah, perfect. Well, thank you so much. And that's all the time that we have for questions today. So like I said, Margaret's contact information is right there on the screen. And I just want to thank Margaret so much for putting this all together for us, for taking us through these breathing techniques, and hopefully all of us will be able to breathe a little bit easier. So thank you so much for joining us, Margaret.
Thank you. This was awesome. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, and before we wrap up, there's just a couple of ZYTO things I'd like to remind everyone about. And we've also got our giveaways that we are going to do. So first off, if you're interested in learning more and utilizing ZYTO for these breathing techniques and kind of what today's topic was on, the Balance is actually a great system. It has breathing related virtual items that can be scanned. So it can do the respiratory system, the lung meridian. It also has the ability to scan for services like aromatherapy, breathing exercises, and yoga. So if that's something that you're interested in, make sure you just go to ZYTO.com/balance. And our webinar giveaway today, we are giving away the book of The Untethered Soul, The Journey Beyond Yourself. That's by Michael A. Singer, and our book winner is Larry Beckwith. So congratulations. We will be in contact with you and we will make sure you get that book. And next we've got our September Wellness Challenge winner. So that is Brenda Titus. So she is the winner of a Patagonia bag and we will be in contact with you. You get to pick your color. So that's awesome. And we just want to encourage all of you out there, if you want a chance to win another great prize that we're going to be giving out for the month of October, it's really easy. All you need to do is just take a picture of yourself doing an outdoor activity. We've got lots of examples up there on the screen of entries that we got. And make sure you send it to marketing@zyto.com and put it on social media using the hashtag ZYTO Wellness Challenge. And it's as easy as that. You'll automatically be entered. So make sure you join us next month when we give away another great prize. And finally, we have ZYTO regional events. So our last event is going to be Saturday, December 7th, and that is in Las Vegas. The registration is free, so come down, make a fun weekend out of it. Come and see us. This is a great way to get questions answered, to meet with us, and to meet with other wellness professionals as well. So make sure you go to zyto.com/events for that. And finally, since it is October, we have some specials going on for this month. So with the Balance, there is a 3 free deal going on. So you'll get 1 month free subscription. You will get a free marketing material. So that's going to include things like posters, wristbands, brochures, and you'll get free shipping. Now, if you're interested in a pro system with the Elite, the purchase of an Elite, you get 3 free add-on bio surveys. And those are great. That includes lifestyle bio survey, digestion, and hydration. So if you want to take advantage of these deals, make sure you go to zyto.com/October-promo and make sure you hurry because those deals are going to be gone on Halloween. So make sure you take advantage of that. And that's going to do it for today's wellness webinar. Next month, we are going to be hearing from Barbara St. John. She's going to be talking about Beyond Positive Thinking. And that is going to be on November 6th. It's going to be same time as always, 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. And thank you so much for joining us today. We will see you all next month.